Welcome to Eat Your Backyard. This is a special episode. In this episode, we're going to make squash chips. This is a great snack. We'll see who jumps on the stream. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that, I'll go ahead and show you. I used the fillet knife to cut these, and I have this sharpener. Go a few times on one side, a few times on the other side. And it is plenty sharp enough. So what we're gonna use today are summer squash. And here they are. Beautiful summer squash. I already washed them off, so they're ready to go. Look at that, one thumbs up already. All right, we got a few people joining the stream. All right, so the summer squash. Now you might ask, why do you have chainmail on your hand? And that is because I've cut my fingers so many times, I just wear a cut knife. And you avoid all possibility now of getting cut. Now these ends and all the waste that we're going to produce today are going to be put in the fridge for rabbit and chicken food tomorrow morning. So we'll have a special cup to store all that. No such thing as food waste in my house anymore. Okay, so the dehydrator I got. Hey, Treasure Outdoors, good to see you. Excellent. Yeah, by the way, excellent work on your channel. You make me want to buy a metal detector every time I watch one of your videos. Write down these numbers. All right. So really the question is how thick to make it. And the dehydrator I got, I'll tell you more about it later. But anyway, it's capable of processing a lot of things. So I've tried some very thin and I've tried some very thick cuts on various types of vegetables and fruits. I think for this one, I'm gonna go somewhat kind of medium. I'm gonna go about the width of maybe a couple of nickels. I think that's about right. But not an exact science. And these chips will fit completely on. You see how, there you go, that would have got my thumb. Know thyself. All right, that'll work. All right, so, what's that? Not too bad. So these squash have like almost, what's a negligible amount of calories to say the least. They're not really that high in calories, but they sure do make you feel kind of full, and I like them just with a little salt. The next thing I'm going to do like this is going to be pineapple, and this is my absolute favorite thing in the world to dry. If you've never had an actual dried, fresh pineapple dried, you need to do it. I'm telling you what. All right, so, yeah, that's about right. Okay, now I'll show you the tray that we have for this thing. Okay, so these little plastic trays, they just stack up and just load it up, man. It's like as many as you can fit in there, but I try to make them so that they're over the vents. You see, that's 2 squash. I'm wondering how many trays that'll take up. Yeah, something very gratifying about doing this. The problem with drying fruit and vegetables is that if it's fruit, I am capable of consuming so much dried fruit before you know it. You could have, eating 1,000 calories of dried fruit. So it's capable to way overeat fruit if you love fruit like I do. I mean, after all, the channels eat your backyard. So the next thing is to be able to stop eating your backyard. All right, look at that. That's cool. You can see the center area. Looks like it's there for airflow, but this unit really gets a lot of flow. I'll show you what that looks like on top of the thing. So there it is. That's the one I got. Hamdox, it's called Hamdox. But it had a large capacity, and that's really what I liked about it. Now, I can salt it afterwards. I don't want to get salt down in there. So that's really the only final thing I'm going to do to it. But I'll salt them after. This thing is super easy to clean because you don't really have anything gross on it other than vegetable stuff. So if you were going, you can also use these type of dehydrators to dehydrate meats. I'm going to put this off to the side. Make beef jerky, but that kind of thing, different kinds of jerky. I am not interested in that because I don't want to sully my dehydrator with meat, because I just think it make it kind of unsanitary. I figure if I always use vegetables and fruits, I can kind of keep it casual. In other words, I just kind of rinse off the things and doesn't get that dirty. If you were doing beef jerky, I would imagine it would get pretty dirty. Now these are 5 little squash that I got at the store, which produce so much. Now these will shrink down, incredibly. I got a huge bag of apples the other day. They were the juicing apples, they call them, but it was like half the price per pound for the juicing apples compared to the other kinds of snack apples or whatever they had. And I used those juicing apples because they were so big in the dehydrator and they worked great. So I'll probably be doing that many more times. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Palm Nation. Time to prep. I don't know what we're prepping for, but I guess we're prepping for something. I'm just prepping to eat these on the couch. That's really my whole objective. But the ability to store food, it weren't a bad idea, as they say. I would think people have known how to preserve and store food for a long time. And it would be kind of weird to not know how to do that. And it feels so natural to do it, by the way. And now that the hurricane's gonna miss us. Yeah, that's right. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. This one missed us. I would like them all to miss us. I was just walking around the yard this evening and I was trying to think, take stock of everything. Oh, it looks pretty good. Man, oh man, that's vibrant yellow color. It's insane. I'm almost considering I could be motivated to go ahead and do the pineapple dehydrating tonight. I might go ahead and cut that as well. This squash has almost zero smell to it, and it's really not that flavorful, which is why I think it's pretty good for chips. I don't know how many calories an entire bag of chips are, but you also, an entire 5 squash worth of chips would be, but I don't think it's very high. All right, there we go. Tropical storm force winds. Yeah, that's a bummer. That is a bummer. So I look around the backyard and I just go, I'm one hurricane away from a total transition. And I just mean like a tropical storm getting near, or a hurricane in the vicinity where it's windy. The thing could be down in Miami and you still get hit pretty hard. I was looking for what I call umbrella trees, if you know what I mean by that. It's trees that are kind of shaped by like an umbrella, where they have a lot of canopy and not much airflow through. Now the bummer is, for a fruit tree, it kind of is exactly what you want, is not a lot of canopy and a lot of branching. So when the hurricanes come, you know, I've always just decided to make the sacrifice. To make the sacrifice required by the situation so as to not pay a higher price. And it's always a gamble. Yeah, you get destroyed over in the Gulf. Yeah, there have been years where I would plant stuff and then like every single thing would just be blown sideways or cracked down at the base because of a storm went through like that. And it's so discouraging. But I learned over the years to kind of view it like, well, it's an opportunity to try something new. If you take that belief, that's really a kind of a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, by the way. And I have a philosophy and meditation YouTube channel as well called One Step Zen. But Stoicism, the philosophy of Stoicism, is a very useful toolkit. But it really is just says that you get to decide what you believe, and therefore you can shape your beliefs. So if you look at a hurricane as the belief of, well, it's a new start, you know, that's better than, well, everything got destroyed and it's just going to be destroyed. So I look at it as a useful philosophical exercise. Because, man, you can prepare all you want for whatever you want to prepare for, but if you're not prepared mentally, you're done. Tropical storm Olga caused more deaths in Tennessee. That's brutal. Yeah, because of all the flooding, the inland flooding. Yeah, those tropical storms just going right up the gut, so to speak, on the Gulf side. The southeast just gets destroyed. And big trees, you know, here in Florida, we don't have a lot of really, you know, especially on the beach, a lot of super huge trees, oak trees, but not like the forests, the jungles of Tennessee, let's say, where it's like a really thick growth of forest. All right, so what's the call? Eat Your Backyard Nation. Should we go for the pineapple? Go for the gusto? And by the way, this pineapple is getting planted in that vertical planter tomorrow morning. I think it almost seems crazy to run that dehydrator and not utilize every tray in it. I was wondering almost if the pineapple would taste a little bit like squash. But I can always just put it on the bottom level. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the pineapple also. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Palm Nation, I should grow a pineapple. Absolutely. I'm actually growing, I've got 4 out there now. And I want growing just the tops. Growing in that vertical planter. But what I want to do is fill all 20 slots with a different thing. So the process of drying all these pineapples, each one that I cut, I'm picking them in the store as much for the pineapple fruit as I am the top to plant it. All right, we're going to go in on the pineapple. I can't resist it. By the way, if you are not subscribed to Eat Your Backyard, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel, just use the Amazon links in the description of any of the videos. That's an easy way to do it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps the YouTube algorithms. All right, perfect. Let's see here. Now, one thing I do when I cut this pineapple is that I do not sweat the core. Don't sweat the core, folks. See the core? You know, if you were eating that, like putting it in the refrigerator after you chopped it, you'd probably want to get that core out because it's pretty coarse. But when you dehydrate it, the core just becomes chewy and delicious, and it's incredible. So I don't waste the core at all. I leave it right in there. So after we chop this, I'm going to end up, yeah, and you can see I don't go crazy on the cuts either because I'm really trying to get as much of it as possible. Every bit of this pineapple that I don't put in the dehydrator is going to be fed to those chickens, and they will devour it. So what I do here is I just cut off this excess. There's a lot of ways to do this, but this works. Yeah, so now I just take this out tomorrow morning. I'll put it in the sink, grab it in the morning. All right, and I chop it up so the sweet little hens will not have to work too hard, but they will peck at it and peck at it, and what they don't eat will turn into compost and then get kind of rotten, and then they'll eat it then. All right, so you can see we're already somehow gratifying to use this food waste. By the way, shout out to Grub Terra, who's sending me now sweet black soldier fly larva. It's an incredible supplement for your chickens, full of calcium. Stoked on that. How gratifying is it to watch a pineapple being cut? Oh, too bad we don't have smell-o-vision. Because the smell is really good. All right, now, here's the thing. I can throw them back in there this size, but then they kind of stand out. If you just kind of chop them into mulch-sized pieces, then the ones that the chickens don't eat are going to simply look like a piece of pine bark in no time. That'll work. All right, all this stuff gets recycled. So stoked on that. By the way, I just cleaned out the chicken coop tonight. Chicken bedding, and put that whole layer of chicken bedding inside the composter. So yeah, trying to jam it in. We're running out of space. Good thing we don't have much more. Okay. Rinse this off. Okay. All right, just take off some of this stuff. Again, I'm not going to sweat a little bit of the pineapple being stuck in here because I don't like to cut too much of it off, and it is easy to separate when it's dry. So once these things dry, it's not like you have to struggle to get the little piece out you might not want to chew on. So I'm only getting out the obvious stuff that would be, a little bit too much. So really not losing much at all in the way of pineapple meat, and that's just because I'm drying it. I wouldn't do this if I was eating this pineapple raw, let's say, because the dehydrating is a form of cooking. I hate to lose too much, but I don't want to have the brown part. That'll work. All right. Yeah, and I love this no-cut glove. This is the best thing. It'll save me $1,000 in doctor bills because I'm so clumsy with knives. I mean, you just got to admit at some point, you're good at some things you're not good at. For me, I'm really not that good with knives. All right, here we go. All right, the crucial cut, straight down the middle. So I like this fillet knife. It's so long you can easily get down the middle of these. Now, here's the approach. We're just going to uniformly slice them, and I find this to be the easiest way to go. Now, you might think this is kind of thick, but they will dehydrate down to very thin, and what I don't want is to have too thin of a chip. Nothing worse than losing the chewiness of this pineapple, in my opinion, because it's so incredible. So you want to make sure it's thick enough that you, after it dehydrates, you have, oops, I was out of camera the whole time. Yeah, thick enough that once it dehydrates, you have some mass to it. mop this side up. And this is the way to go because it's just so simple. There's lots of ways to cut it. You can get way more complicated, but you're not going to want to do this a lot if it's inefficient. I mean, you're just going to run, because it does take time. And if you're filling up that whole dehydrator, or you're doing, 10 apples, it makes a big difference how you cut it, because it takes a lot longer certain ways. All right, look at that. What? Perfect. Literally perfect. All right, let's put these suckers on the tray. Okay. These will lay out there beautifully. I'm stoked. Oh, I want to. And again, some of the little, brown parts, I'm not sweating that at all. And it's not a bad thing to, as long as you have enough trays to get all the stuff you cut done, it's not a bad thing to have them spread out kind of widely, I always think. But the other thing is you can always take a piece and cut it in order to fit into a spot that might be a tight. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. The pineapple is so incredibly sticky. All right, let's continue on. All right, I've got many more trays here. That's why I like this dehydrator. And depending on the direction you turn them, you can have space be pretty wide or pretty close. And I tend to prefer it being pretty close unless the cut's too high. But all right, let's go ahead and load this level up. Yeah, this is a pretty big pineapple. You know how I pick my pineapples is I just feel for the heaviest pineapple of the batch. That always works. In picking pineapples, you get maximum pineapple potential when you pick the heaviest pineapple. It seems like common sense, but not always that easy because pineapples are awfully pretty. All right, here we go. Oh, man, with every one of these trays, my enthusiasm for eating these things grows exponentially. I don't think it's going to use many trays. I doubt if I use another one after this. I am pleased with the width that I chose for these cuttings, because of the retention and the chewiness. This is one of the they call it fruit leather, but the pineapple is certainly one of the chewiest things you can possibly put in this thing, I would say. Probably, in my opinion, the best thing you can dehydrate. Well, rather than start a whole new one, I think I'll just go ahead and fit it on the squash tray. All right, there you go. I'd do a combiner. All right. That cut glove cost about $10. I love it. All right. I guess we'll have some pineapple flavored squash along the way. Ooh, I can't wait to feed that to the chickens tomorrow. All right, let's look at this incredible machine, preserving machine. Look at that thing. So cool. All right, so you can see the spacing on these two are rather tight. Here are the two, and then on this one below it, it's a little wider. That's because I don't have it turned in the right angle. You actually rotate it around and watch what happens. Bam, all tight. And these I already have stacked up that way, but they're all close together. And I don't know, I have a crazy theory that makes it dehydrate faster, increases the heat, but I don't base that on anything other than my ideas. So there it is. Yeah, still have a few. How many trays? Okay, I still have one tray? I thought I had more than that. Well, just one tray left. But this thing's ready to go. All right, let's set it and forget it. Now this is the lid that goes on top of it. Just got one vent on the top. I kind of put it out where it can sit unobstructed and turn it on. All right, plugged in. All systems operational. All right, it's on. Now, we got to, the first thing is to choose a, oh, it wasn't on. Now it's on. Okay, the first thing we have to do is choose a temperature. And I've been going with 150 to start, and then I turn it down to 140 after it's been in there for a couple of hours or an hour or so. And then on the time, since these are so thick, I think I'm gonna go with a full 12 hours. We're gonna do this for a half a day. Wow. I'm smelling that. It smells so good. The pineapple's like an air freshener. Really, honestly, it's just incredibly cool. So, you know, maybe this will motivate some of you to get into dehydrating some food. You can see, I'm looking at the time here, it took about a half hour to do this whole process. And I'll enjoy this food in a way that is far superior to if I'd eaten it fresh. I believe because it's so chewy, I just love eating it. And it's very, very healthy. Very healthy. So I hope you will get into this healthy habit of dehydrating. It's a fun hobby for me. I've been getting more and more into it, and I love this this dryer. I think I'll remember to put a link down in the description, so if you want to get one of these, you can click on it. But you can still click on the description and just search out Hamdocs, I suppose, and find it right on Amazon where I got it. But I'm pretty pleased with it, and I've dehydrated a lot of fruit and veg in this thing. So now that my yard is really, really just going off with crazy amount of production, I'm going to end up trying a lot of things in here, and I can't wait. Especially for teas. I think, you know, and if people like these kinds of videos, I'll show you all the things I do, but I was gonna start drying leaves of trees for tea, to include moringa and Jamaican cherry, and also soursop and many others that I'm just super interested in making teas out of, to see how those taste and what they're like, because a lot of them are also loaded with minerals and vitamins, so it's really like a vitamin drink. You know, so this dehydrator can serve a lot of purposes. The value I get out of this machine is incredible as far as I'm concerned. So I was wondering if I'd like doing it. I love doing it. Dehydrating fruit and vegetables. All right, well, thanks for watching Eat Your Backyard. I do appreciate you watching. Every single viewer is important to me because it's a potential to maybe spark somebody's interest in being self-sufficient, growing their own food, enjoying animals in their backyard, or other positive things. Thanks for watching, and have a great evening.